I have a beautiful 2-month-old baby. My dad started fighting with me because I refused to leave her alone with him until he showed me he could take care of her change diaper, feed from bottle, warm up breast milk. We had a huge fight, there was yelling, and when I told him the next day that I couldn't do this anymore because it was preventing me from caring for my baby properly, he complained that I was putting her over my relationship with him. So I told him she was more important, and I would talk to him when she didn't need me 24/7 and blocked him. My mom came over a few times the next week and eventually asked if she could come over with my dad so he could see her. I said yes. He came over, threw a fit that she was asleep, and left. The next day I was at my parents' house with her while my dad was at work. I was downstairs in the living room with her when he came back home early. My mom offered him to wash his hands and hold her, something we also fought over, and he just stopped angrily upstairs. And when mom went to talk to him, he apparently wanted her to bring my baby to him without me. I obviously refused, because she's so small and I don't trust him even with mom's supervision, and he is now claiming I am keeping her away from him. Something I should tell: I require anyone and everyone who wants to help with my daughter to show me that they can care for her. Taking care of a baby, especially an infant, has changed so much in the past 10 years, let alone the 30 years since I was that age. All of the other grandparents, my mother and in-laws, were happy to help around and didn't mind having to show me that they could care for her. My dad is the only one who refused and was insulted by it. He wouldn't even change her diaper. If he won't show me he can care for her while I'm away for an hour, then I can't trust him. Additionally, in this specific case, he insisted that I stay out of the room while he held her, which is just a very strange request. I wasn't keeping her away from him. He was welcome to hold her under my supervision. He just refused to have me there, so I didn't let him hold her. I'm a 29-year-old female who is married and out of my parents' house. My parents don't have any friends, so things that involve tech I have to help them. I and my husband live right up the street from my parents' house. Looking back, that was a mistake. My dad has me pay all his bills because he refuses to take the time to learn how to do it himself. He also needs help for other tech things like printing stuff out from his email. These are things he expects me to always come over and do. My father acts like he can't learn how to operate the internet himself. He doesn't understand I am not in the mood sometimes. He feels like just because he raised me I have to do it every time, and he doesn't want to learn because he knows I will do it for him. It's getting very exhausting. My parents aren't even that old, they are in their 50s. My father is more than capable of learning how to do these things. Sometimes he just shows up to my apartment unannounced just so I can do something for him. One time it was just as simple as turning his flashlight off from his phone. People always tell me I miss my parents. You should be glad both of your parents are alive. Of course I love my parents and I am grateful for them, as they do still help me out, but I don't even ask my parents for much. Me and my husband took my parents out to eat last weekend, and here comes my dad giving me his phone for me to pay one of his bills. I'm sorry if I'm complaining, but it's getting out of hand. He even has me order stuff online for him when I'm sick. Once, I had just gotten out of the hospital because I was diagnosed with an illness called EIA. I was not feeling well, and here he went shoving his phone in my face so I could order him something he needed. Me and my husband plan on moving soon because it has really gotten to me now. I am so tired of constantly being unable to express my concerns to my mother without her crying, guilt-tripping me, or giving me the silent treatment. I live abroad and my mom asked if she and my cousin could come visit me this summer. I told her absolutely, and that I could take 1 week off of work, maybe even 8 days, to host her and my cousin and show them a good time around my city. I live with my partner, and he was even willing to stay at his parents' house for 7 to 8 days because he is a remote worker and we live in a very small 1-bedroom apartment. Eventually my mom bought her flight tickets and she booked for 16 days. Mind you, me and my mother are often very opposite. She is impulsive, emotional, moody, and very anxious. I am a very type of person, and I was very petrified of her growing up. I was obviously upset because I did not sign up for her to stay for 16 days. That's insane. I told her that she absolutely had to book a hotel for the second week because I can't ask my partner to be away from our home for that long, and I don't have that much time off of work. Ever since she told me she bought a flight to visit for 16 days, I have been annoyed. I find it stressful when family visits even for a week, because I start to feel like a camp counselor. It just overwhelms me to try and make sure everyone is having a good time, having things planned every day, being out of my normal routine. But for 1 week I can handle it, 16 days is a whole other story. Anyway, I tried to have an honest conversation with her and tell her I think she should shorten her trip as she has a changeable flight. I feel like she isn't going to be comfortable traveling around this big city without me guiding her because she is already very anxious. Also, I live in a very expensive city, and I think she will struggle financially to pay for a hotel for an entire week. Also, my cousin is a bit of an airhead, so I don't really think she'll be much help. Of course, I try talking to her calmly, and she starts crying and accusing me of ruining her vacation, that I am so hard-headed and don't listen, that she never gets to do anything, and I'm ruining it for her. And that now she doesn't even want to come because I am not being welcoming her. I just can't handle this. I find it so hard to have a conversation with her when she starts manipulating me. I know my mother, she is not this adventurous, easygoing person on vacation. And now I will have the emotional burden of worrying about her and my cousin for the week I can't spend with them because neither one of them are very capable. Am I being unreasonable here? I, 26 female, live in a rented house with a single mother, 30 female, and her son, 6 months. I don't mind living with her and her kid. It's fine, and we kind of do our own thing. I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's place or working. Our work schedules collide, so we really don't interact much. I want to start with saying that she clearly struggles financially, but I don't think it's an excuse. I don't make lots of money either. However, I've noticed that my food would go missing or portions would be taken from it. I assumed it was her kid, so I asked her if she'd stop him from eating my food. I was calm about it, and she just said she would. It didn't really upset me when it first started. It started getting annoying when I'd get home from work and expect to have my leftovers in the fridge only to see it was picked through, or just gone. I kept bringing it up and she started getting annoyed with me bringing it up. From observing them, I realized that neither of them ever eat vegetables, and judging by the food that would get picked through and the food that would be untouched, anything with green in it was avoided. Chicken would be gone, but broccoli would be untouched. So I started putting vegetables in everything. I find vegetables to be delicious. I make a big portion of vegetables pretty frequently anyway, so I just started putting it in everything I eat. If I had leftover mashed potatoes, I'd pour green beans in and mix it up. If I had leftover cheesy bacon fries, I'd pour broccoli all over it and mix it in. I made a pot of mac and cheese, the kids' favorite thing, and poured in roasted Brussels sprouts, which is actually delicious to me, and I'm eating more vegetables, so it's a win-win. We were all home when I made the pot of mac and cheese. She was in the living room and saw me get out the Brussels sprouts and was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I poured them in. She said I was being greedy and annoying. I just said I like Brussels sprouts, and that was it. She said we need food, and I told her to go get some. Or stop buying only prepackaged things and your money will go further. I think she sees this as some big act of revenge, but I just simply want to be able to eat my food. I also want to add that the sharing is not the issue, it's expecting to have food. So often I'd be working a long day and get home expecting to have my meal and it all be gone. Or I wake up in a rush and had my food ready to eat in the morning only to find it gone. So now I have to skip breakfast. If she would simply text sometimes, "Hey, is it okay if we eat this food you made?" I would know to make other plans. I would stop for food, or no, I have to whip something up when I get home. Also, I think eating the last of someone else's food is crazy and rude. If someone makes a big pot of something and you ask for a serving, sure. But if someone made something and there is one serving left and you eat it without permission, that is evil as hell.